Welcome to the Army Empire Podcast, your go-to podcast for insightful tips on investment strategies, entrepreneurship, and all things money matters. Join Bernard Alerte, your guide on this journey to financial freedom. Each episode will dive into expert advice, practical strategies, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your financial future. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned investor, we've got something for everyone. So get ready to unlock your financial potential and make your money work for you. And now, let's welcome your host, Bernard Alerte.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good evening. How are you doing?
How are you, Bernard? We're doing good here.
Excited to be here. Excited to be. We have a little cold wave again in Florida. I don't know why, but well.
Yes. It's a little brisk over here in Central Florida. We are so excited to have our time together. Listen, I was just thinking here earlier as I was setting up Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all these things that I have the honor and the privilege to do for the Army Empire podcast. And I really enjoy our time together. Those 30 minutes.
Yeah, yes.
We learn so much, and we get to see who else is excited about finances as they're jumping in and making comments. I have the comments coming in a little differently now. They're just going to just pop up instantly on the screen without me having to click it, which is really good. So I see Sally is on. She says, "Good evening, Coach."
Yes, hey. Good evening, Miss Sally.
And of course, you have here your other apprentice.
Yes.
Coach is on. He's
on.
Coach B.
That's right.
Listen, I'm excited about this episode. Talk to us about, I didn't know if this was a question or if this is a statement. What's new in 2026?
It was a little bit of like last week we covered a lot of motivation, inspiration, mindset to get, but we also want to give real information, inside information. And there's so many things popping up in 2026, especially in the retirement aspect, that a lot of people don't even know about it. Or like I had someone ask me a question, how does that work? What does that mean actually, right? So I said, you know what? Let's pop a lot of things people are not even aware of that's coming out this year, that's come out this year, that's coming out this year. And what's happening in the financial field of retirement? What's the state out there, people to know? Because one thing we want to do in Army Empire podcast is to give the right information. You know, that's one thing we prize and we'll never stop giving the right information. It's crazy because I was talking to Aline the other day. I was like, you know, like there's a lot of podcasts out there. They find like controversial things, right? Controversial topics and they attack and you know, because sometimes it goes in negative or things are not true, right? And we pride ourselves that we're gonna give the right information. We're gonna share what's true. We're gonna share true facts. We're not going that direction because I believe when it comes to people's money, you can't lie to them. You have to be honest. You have to give people the right information out there, you know. So it's a very important for people to know because I believe because people get the right information, they'll make the right choice. I believe that 100%.
Oh, yes, that's so good. So if we get the right information, we're going to be able to make the right choices.
Exactly.
That's the culture. That's the heartbeat of the Army Empire podcast. So listen, I have my paper, I have my pen, and we're just going to go ahead and take notes as you share with us what's up, what's coming, what's moving, what's shaking, and keeping us abreast at what's going on with all these financial situations. Let's dig in.
Yes, the first thing we want to share is I pulled this out. When I saw this, I was like, I got to share that with everyone. It says the American dream. Everybody talks about the American dream, right? The American dream not cost by $5 million. And going back to what Eileen, we did an episode couple episodes back about raising a baby, having a new baby, the cost of raising a baby. And we said, let's put a couple of things together. Because everybody talks about the American dream. American dream not cost about $5 million. So average person will have to make $5 million in their lifetime. What does that mean? Retiring in comfort. Just to retire in comfort is going to cost you about $1.6 million to retire in comfort. People don't realize that, right? Just to be comfortable. Not like, well, I'm talking about being comfortable. People underestimate how much they need for retirement, right? Healthcare. Right? Healthcare is about $414,000. Right, just about. You're owning quality healthcare. Owning a home will cost average about $957,000. Right, raising two kids and paying for college lifetime by almost $876,000. Right, owning a new car is like lifetime, like 900,000, just about the cost. Go on vacation every year, that's about 180,000. So if you're caring for pets, we have pets. We have 2 pets now, right? We care for about 38,000 plus, right? Just having a wedding sometimes, the cost of a wedding. I mean, the wedding industry is like $1 trillion industry these days. People spend so much money. There's 38,000. So you add them up and you have a lifetime cost about $5 million for achieving the American dream. But there's a challenge with that, right? Consider the average American just with a bachelor's degree earns about $2.8 million over a career. So there's a major gap between the American dream and the reality a lot of times, right? So it's a major gap. This is why it's so important that, we always talk about people have to find a way. People have goals and dreams that are right here, but their income sometimes down here. And there's only 2 things you can do. Either you have to decrease your goals and dreams to meet your income, or increase your income to meet your goals and dreams. For a lot of people, what are you willing to sacrifice? Pick. Maybe no pets, maybe no vacations, maybe no new cars, maybe kids don't go to college, maybe something, not owning a home. So right now, it's a reality. People have to give up some things that were basic. When our parents grew up, it was basic to own a home. That wasn't something that, that was like, okay, to achieve to own a home. Raising two kids, right? Owning a car, going on vacation once a year, like, go on vacation. I mean, things like that, having a wedding. So those are the things that were so basic back in the days, but now they're becoming more and more luxuries.
Oh my word. Yeah.
More and more luxuries right now. And it's so important for people to be aware of that, to actually, it's crazy. It's crazy out there.
I want to read here what my husband says. Yeah, working until you die is the new norm.
Yes, exactly. When people ask, well, when would you like to retire? Like, oh, yesterday. Or they will say, I don't know, maybe I'll never be able to retire, right? So it's those are fears or concerns that people have. So we want to give people just information, that things that they can do it, that's out there, that people can take advantage of. So we're going to talk about some trends that's happening, right? And also things that we can do to maybe go in the right direction, take advantage of, which is so important.
Yeah, just like Eileen says here, that's what we do. We speak hope. We speak positive and true information, whether it's trends or whether it's something that's going viral, because sometimes information goes viral and it's not even true.
Exactly. It's not, we don't care. We don't like what we say is not really popular. What we say is not really, what we teach is not really popular out there. If you think about that, we teach truth, but it's not really popular because everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants that financial product that you just get that like one-off fix all. And that's not what it is. Being financially independent takes work. Having the right being financially is boring. It's not something it's like a specific product, but it's the specific things, strategies you can do. Like if you think about even getting healthy, right? If everybody looking for, give me the shot that I can take. What's the one shot that I can take? The one thing. But getting healthy sometimes is boring. It's like exercising, right? And eating the right foods or cutting down. Those are the things that make a big difference, right? That's important, but it's boring, right? It's really boring. Everybody was like, I just did this exercise for a half hour and all of a sudden, or I took this pill or did something or shot and everything. Yeah, but it just doesn't work that way. It's the same thing with our money. It requires the same kind of also discipline and facts out there.
Yes, very true.
So what are some things that are out there, right? So my eyesight's not that good, so right. So if you think about Americans, right, even financial professional, right, is 46%, 41% of workers and 20% retired say they do not know where to go for good financial retirement information. So a lot of people don't know where to go. Yet 64% of workers, 60 retires, were taught to invest future as a child. So a lot of people were taught, we say you have to save for your retirement, but they don't know where to go, who to go to. And this is where it's important that this is the big dilemma. Who do you trust? Who do you turn to? They believe financial companies out there willing to do the right thing, but the challenge is it's not all financial companies, because a lot of times, because someone comes in and says, well, I'm a financial coach, and they believe what they're saying, versus you need to ask some questions. If someone doesn't have not just a life insurance but an investment license, they can't teach you and show you how to retire, because they can only sell you one product, right? Which is life insurance product. And this is where it's very important for people to ask those questions, which is very challenging. They need to have only someone that has a life insurance and an investment license can show you how to protect your income and save for retirement. Someone that just have a life insurance license cannot show you how to save for retirement unless they want to refer you to someone or to point to someone that has an investment license to guide you, right? So it's something very important people need to know, which is very crazy out there, right? I mean, think about healthcare costs, a concern for retirees. You know, if you're 50 retire good, the cost of healthcare is negative impact. So people underestimate the cost of healthcare. So this is why people underestimate how much we need for retirement, because healthcare costs just get more and more as we get older. Makes sense? And that's just the way it works. Social Security remains the top source people expect for retirement, which is crazy. 87% of workers expect Social to be a source of income at retirement, right? And they depend on. This is why it's. But the challenge is average Social Security check is less than 1,000, or 2,000, less than 1,000. If you work, and most people, if the most you ever get is a couple of $1,000s a month, so it's a very major gap out there. But that's, people think it's important. That's why people are even willing to even work a little bit longer just to get a little extra, just an extra couple $100 extra a month in for Social Security. People want to even stay a little longer. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. And people are concerned about the retirement system, the government, what's happening out there. So we want people to be aware of some of the things that are out there people can take advantage of. Right. Which is great. So
the whole Social Security thing is definitely in conversations.
Yes.
Because some folks have said, oh, Social Security is probably going to go away. And because we're at a point where people are not getting a lot of money back with Social Security anymore.
They're not. Absolutely. And Social Security, do I think it will ever get rid of Social Security? I don't think so. I mean, I think they'll find a way to do it, but it's not enough. It's not going to be enough. It's not gonna be enough people to retire. People cannot depend on Social Security. You can't depend on that. This is why, I don't know if you remember back in the days, they used to send you a statement, right? It's to send you a statement to how much you're gonna get, like by the time you retire, this age, that age. But now they don't send a statement anymore, right? You have to pull up online. But people would automatically go towards how much it's supposed to get, but they never take the time to read the highlight and the front says Social Security is not supposed to be the only information, only place for retirement. So it's in addition. Social Security is in addition of your retirement, not the main source of your retirement. People never take the time and read that because the government knows that's people depend on Social Security, but it's not supposed to be. It's not, and people end up having a big surprise by the time they retire. By the time it's too late.
That's something that we need to write down, because our grandparents' mindset, our parents' mindset was, vamos a colectar, we're going to collect el cheque, we're going to get that Social Security check, and that's what it's going to be. But that was the mindset of before. Now we need to write that Social Security should be an addition.
Yes.
Yeah. Social Security is supposed to be supplemental income. Yes, very good. You cannot live solely on Social Security, Sally says, because it is clearly very little, not a sole resource of income.
Not much. If you think about it, even if you live in New York City, for example, you rent a one-bedroom apartment in New York City. For most people, you're gonna pay almost $2,000 a month, $1,500 to $2,000 a month, one-bedroom apartment. Average check is $1,500 to $2,000. So that's about it. Now, how are you going to eat? How are you going to pay the rest? So it's very challenging out there. So people need to know,
Wow. So good.
And this is why IRAs, we're always going to talk about IRA is going to play a significant role in U.S. retirement savings. Significant role, right? And with $17 trillion in assets in 2024, right? 39% U.S. retirement, that's going to be a major portion. We are big proponents of IRAs out there, right? Put money in IRA. If you traditional IRAs, counts by $4.1 trillion in assets, while Roth IRAs held $2 trillion, which is 72%. Because the reason that's happening is a lot of people, when they're moving money, when they're retiring, the goal is to move your money into a traditional IRA. So after that 401k, so this is why traditional IRA have so many more assets than Roth IRAs. But that's gonna be really in a short future right now. Our goal is to make sure the Roth IRAs, people have a bunch of money in Roth IRAs. Save as much money possible, because guess what happened? It's very important. But what happens, people are contributing, people are realizing it's better to contribute money towards a Roth IRA, and while traditional IRAs are open for rollovers. Make sense? So people are realizing if they want to contribute money, they want to put money towards a Roth IRA instead, which is very the right way to do.
That is the right way to do it.
Absolutely, 100%. So let's take a look at it. Let's talk about IRAs, for example, right? The contributions, right? People say, well, how much can I put money in a Roth IRA? The answer is 100%. Yes, you can. You can put money in a Roth IRA. And let's look at the numbers to show you guys real quick. Like right now, 2025, if you're single, right, you put $7,000 in a Roth IRA a year. $7,000 Roth IRA a year, right? And guess what? That grew up to $7,500. In 2026, you can actually put $7,500 in a Roth IRA, right? And the good thing about that, there's also called catch-up contribution, where there's people that are like my age, 50 and over, right? You can actually increase it. So if you're 50 and over, you can actually put $8,600, right, in a Roth IRA, right? If you're older, right, which is great. So it's just a little bit more. Makes sense to be able to do that. So average person, which if you average it out, it's about, seems like a lot. That's about, if you average about $600, $650 a month, right? A month, around there. If you broke it down on a weekly basis, that's maybe like $150 a week. You know, if you think of average person goes to lunch, and 150 doesn't seem like, you go to lunch, you spend $10, $15, $20 on lunch. You spend about $150 just on lunch and coffee in a week. In a week. Cable, 100. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's a lot of things that you would spend money. It just seems like a lot, but you can do it, right? And people say, well, can I contribute? Let me share some with you, right? Look at the tax provision. If you look at the second column, you talk about 2026 contribution phase out range. I mean, if you're making, people get confused what that means. That means if you're making $153,000, right? $153,000 or less, you can max out. You could put $7,500 in a Roth IRA, right? You could put that. So if you think about it, right, 95% of the population makes less than $153,000. So that means 95% of the population can have a Roth IRA,
right?
Right? Joint file is 200. So if you're married jointly, 240,000, right? Which is not bad, right? And it's phased out. That means if someone has a retirement plan, they can put a little bit less. If you look at the bottom, right, 81,000, traditional IRA, which is 81,000, right? Those are the numbers. 129,000 married couple, right? Phase out, they have a retirement plan. So for people that put money in a Roth IRA, if you're making less than $153,000, you can have a Roth. You can max out a Roth IRA. For you, and if you're making 24, you and your spouse can both max. I mean, you can have 7,500 and 75, which is 15,000.
Yeah, and here Sally's asking, so you mean anyone over 50 can put $8,600 in a Roth IRA per year?
100%, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely, you can do it. So you can definitely max it out, which is so important, right? And if you think of, so there's no reason for people not to have the income. There's no reason. Income should not be an issue. I'm making too much money. For 95 years, there's a few fortune that make a little bit more, right? That may not be able to max out a Roth IRA, but for 95% of the population, they should have a Roth IRA.
And right? Then what is the, because then French is saying regardless of how much you make? No, there is.
There's a cap. For example, if 153,000, right? And it's phased out, it's 168,000. It's a little bit less, $168,000 or less, right? In other words, if you make more than 168, then you can't. But for a lot of people, 100%. For 95% of people, you can definitely have a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Have a Roth IRA. And this is why I don't like when people start putting money in IULs. Why? 95% of people shouldn't even think about doing any IUL, anything like that. Right? 90 should not even think about that. Right? So to me, that just think is ridiculous. Right? This is
a really good slide to screenshot because it has all the good information of 2026 right on there. So I'm going to give you a few seconds right there and just screenshot this while you're watching on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, screenshot this so you can save it and have a conversation with your husband and say, okay, wait a minute, where are we in this when it comes to how much we can contribute, how much we're making per year, and figure that out and have a conversation with Bernard. For
100%.
sure.
A Roth IRA should definitely be able to everyone should have a Roth IRA. Everyone should have a Roth IRA. Makes sense? And which is great. Now there's a few people that make more than that, right? Population, but there's a lot of different options with that, you know? You can still put money, which is called people think you can't put money in it's called a non-deductible IRA. That means you can save the money. Why would someone put money? Because it's called non-deductible IRA. You can actually put more money in there. You just can't deduct it. It can have no benefit, but allows you to save money. In other words, be able to do it. Make sense? Which is great. So if you look at the next slide, people ask, well, when can I? Because people roll over. People ask me like, how can I roll over? What would be like a rollover? Can I roll this money over, this money, that money over? This tells you a very, very simple chart. We call a rollover chart. That means if you have a Roth IRA, in other words, very, very simple, right? Take a screenshot of it. Roth IRA, you cannot move money. If you move, it tells you what you can do. If you have Roth IRA, you can't roll over to a traditional IRA, right? You can't roll to a traditional IRA. It tells you no, you can't. Now, if you have a traditional IRA, if you look at it, you can put money in a Roth IRA, but you have to count it as income. You're gonna count as income. So I do not recommend unless you do it early enough where you want to. If someone's willing to pay the taxes up front, makes sense, and willing to pay the taxes up front and be able to have the tax deferred growth, so take money tax free. It's a personal choice. You have to sit down at your account, but I really wouldn't recommend that. But so it tells you all different IRAs, different retirement plans, right? Where you can roll over to. For example, for most people, they're going to have a qualified plan pre-tax. So if you look at a couple which is like a 401k, yes, 100% you can move money in a traditional IRA, right? Like, and it tells you, you see little numbers there, 2, 3 numbers. You have to look at screenshot at the bottom. It tells you the limitations with that. Make sense?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm not going to go each of them, but this tells you, this gives you a range. If I have this, can I move it there? Can I have this? Can I move it there? It gives you an idea. Makes sense? So everyone knows. Okay.
Yes. This is really good info, Coach. And we can always put money in a Roth.
Exactly. 100%. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Next slide. Last slide.
It's so crazy. When the first time, people don't know there's a lot of laws that have changed recently, right? If you look at the next slide, right? They passed a law in July 2025, right? Which we call the Big Beautiful Bill, right? They call the Big Beautiful Bill, right? They came out. One of the things that came out with that, which something people may not like how it's called, right? But it's called a Trump account, right? It's Trump account. What it does actually allows parents to put money for their kids. Put money for their kids. Let me tell you a couple. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it real quick. It's something that's gonna come out. It ain't come out yet, but it's gonna come out in July of this year, right? Number one, what are some things people need to know about? Number one is it's only one per child, right? You can't have several, only one account per child. That's one aspect of it, right? Also is what it tells you, if a child can have a 529 plan and still have call it Trump account. They can actually have a Trump account too. They can have both accounts, right? So who's eligible, right? And what happens is also what the government is doing also for kids that are born from January 2025, right? On January 2025 up until December 2028, they're going to give you about $1,000 per child. The federal government is going to give you $1,000 per child, in other words, right? And who's eligible? You have to be U.S. citizen, of course, Social Security number, things like that, right? And that's pretty much it. And also how much you can put. You can put $5,000 a year. Like anyone can contribute. Like a parent can put money in there. A grandparent can put $5,000 a year per child. Make sense?
Yes.
Right? So total $5,000. Anyone can contribute, but it has to be only total of $5,000 per child. right? Which is important. So, and sometimes they're gonna allow you, even someone can at retirement where your employer can put money towards your kid's Trump account, right? That's happened also. 2,500 also they can do it. So the max is 5,000 a year. Makes sense? Just a very simple. And at 18, pretty much the kids come out, they can take the money out, and they're gonna be taxed at their age. So it's an extra incentive to save money for your kids. In other words, right?
So this is does it have anything to do with education? Is it
no education? I'm gonna go over the next slide. Tells you the difference. It's for retirement. It actually allows you to put money aside for the kids' retirement, and the kids can still have a minor IRA with that also. So it gives the kids, I guess, a heads up. So if someone's fortunate enough to be able to do that, you can have a heads up and put money. We don't offer Trump accounts. We're not gonna, because what happens is the government is only gonna have one or two financial institutions because it's very difficult to run it, right? So they're gonna have one or two financial institutions to have access. But we want to share with everyone anyway, because if someone wants to, it's out there. So they need to know in July, they can figure out, as soon as we get information, we share with everyone where they can, if they want to open up a Trump account for their kids, they can open up for their kids if they want to, right? And this is the difference, right? This is the difference between Trump account versus a 529 plan. Number one, 529 plans withdrawals for college is tax-free. Now, a Trump account is retirement. Your contributions are tax-free, but it's also taxable, okay, when you take money out, when the kids take the money out. Now, annual contribution, there's no federal cap for 529, but only $5,000 per child, right? Qualified, accessible before age 18, yes, for qualified education expenses. Okay, so you can actually take a 529 plan and you can pay for a kid's private school. Makes sense? Anything that has to do with education, you can use that even before the kids are 18. You can use that. For the Trump account, you can't use that. It's locked until the kid's 18, no exceptions, right? Yes. Kindergarten cost, right? You can kindergarten cost. You can use a 529 plan for a kindergarten cost up to age 12, up to $10,000 a year, right? You can't use that for the Trump account. Make sense? All right. And also in a 529 plan, you can transfer it to a family member. So if you have like little Johnny doesn't want to go to school, right? You can transfer to Betty, for example, that wants to go to school, right? Or you can roll over up to $35,000 into a Roth IRA. Right? Yes. So they changed their law. Like you can before, it was a very challenging 529 plan, because if the kids didn't want to go to school, college, it's like, okay, what do you do? Then you're stuck with it, and you end up having to pay to take the money out, fees and taxes. But now they can roll over to their Roth IRA up to $35,000, which is great advantage on top of that, right? So those are the things that are coming out. People have never even heard of Trump account, to be honest with you.
No,
never heard of that, but it's actually coming out in July. July this year is coming out, right? And it's just and it's an extra way. An extra way for parents can actually save money for kids, for their kids, right?
I like this comment here where, you know, she's literally saying we like this podcast because of this. You give us all the information that we need and lets us make the right decisions that we need to make. This is really good info. Very true.
100%. So those are some of the things that out there that we felt we wanted to share with everyone out there to take advantage of it, you know, because people perish lack of knowledge, right? Because of lack of knowledge, people perish. So we want to give people information. When it comes to your money, you need to have the right information. When it comes to information, you cannot, you know, you have to make the right choices, because what happened, I believe, average person, Liz, probably loses millions of dollars over their lifetime. Millions. I'm not talking about thousands. An average person loses millions of dollars in their lifetime because of lack of knowledge.
Yep.
Lack of knowledge, or bad choices, or making the wrong choices, millions of dollars in a lifetime. So this is why we want to make sure this podcast, we just don't want to inspire you. We want to give the right tools, right information necessary so people can make the right choices.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we did today.
Absolutely. So a little bit more details, a little nerdy part of me, right? Details, because we believe in sharing, you know, so that part is so people can know exactly what to do and what's out there in 2026 versus the IRA limits, the income that you can put in a Roth, because people are very confused with that, have the wrong information. We want to share, for example, if they want to roll money over, the options they have, what they can or cannot do, right?
Mhm.
In other words, and if they want to do it, there's a cost associated with that. To let people know there's a, if you say, well, I want to move the money, you need to know exactly what needs to happen.
Yep. My husband said married men need to know this stuff too. Absolutely. And Sally, I wish I would have known this before I retired years ago. There's so much information that we're finding out now, which is wild. Great information week by week. That's good. Look, we got these comments just popping up. Yep. $25 a day on lunch being wasted because here in her case, I read cook, just cook.
It's true.
Yeah, that's $500 that can go into a Roth.
Sometimes I go to lunch by the office sometimes, and I spend like $25, $30. Like, wow, this. I just take home. And he's like, what? Why don't you bring food from home instead? Like, yeah. So I started doing that too. So it's the craziest thing. So it's there. The money's there for people. For most people, yes, you can't put money aside. You can have a decent retirement, but you got to start making the right choices. You have to get the right information, make the right choices. You might have to make some adjustments, maybe, right? Make those adjustments. That makes a big difference,
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, yes, just like Eileen, we're in the same mindset right here. If you have any additional questions in reference to this podcast or any of our previous podcasts and any topics, just send Bernard an email. The email is scrolling below on Facebook and YouTube and above on Instagram, and save his email address so that you can contact him whenever something arises and you're just kind of like, I'm not sure about this. Let me go ahead and give Bernard a call and ask him, because you're going to share the information just as it is.
Absolutely. And this is why we're always going to give the right information. We're never going to sensationalize things. We're never going to make things. We're always going to make sure we under promise and over deliver all the time and give the right information, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's like sensationalized and it's flashy, and people fall for it because of that, and they end up getting in a bad situation because of that. So I'm going to make sure to give right information.
This was good. Episode 73. We're still bringing it down. All that good gold nuggets here that we get to continue to learn. Thank you, Bernard, for your time and for sharing your knowledge with us. And thank you to all those that have been watching today. Thank you for joining us. And I see the numbers there. That makes me so excited. Send this to someone else. Don't forget to click that like button right there on your social media platform, and then share this with someone, whether you're sharing it to them through their DM as a message, a private message, or share it on your profile, especially if you're on Facebook. Just go ahead and put that right on your profile, and other people will continue to watch this particular episode. Tax preparers don't know all the information about business. Yes, business owners and individuals. That is true too. There's that gap.
They really don't. And it's sad that a lot of them don't. And it's sad that like I've always like tax preparers, like, you should share that information. You should listen, you got to talk to someone, but they just had to put numbers and spit it out. That's all they want to do. And put numbers, spit it out, and whatever happens, happens. Very few of them really take the time and that really say, listen, you need to get this. You need to do this. They're really, but hopefully that'll change. That'll change.
Awesome. Great stuff, Coach. Thank you so much. Guys, we will see you again next Tuesday, this exact same time, this exact same place. We look forward to learning some more financial information. All things money matters. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you. Thanks for all you
guys. Bye. Be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed in the Lord.
Thanks for tuning in to the Army Empire podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Join us next week for another exciting edition, and until then, keep building your empire.